morning, everyone. Today I'm going to start with my next topic of digestive system, that is the other parts of alimentary canal. Before starting with the topic, I'm going to discuss what are the objectives of the topic. The main objectives of the topic are, in this we will come to know, we will learn about pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and anus in detail. So let's start with the topic, that is pharynx. So children, open up your books at page number 11.2. Pharynx. Pharynx, the buccal cavity leads into a vertical chamber called pharynx. It is about 12 to 14 centimeter in length. Here food and air crosses each other. The food channel continues as esophagus and the air passage continues as larynx and trachea. Another name of larynx is called voice box and another name of trachea is called windpipe. The opening of larynx is called glottis, and glottis is guarded by a flap-like structure called epiglottis. It closes the glottis during eating. So what happens that this is nasal cavity, the soft palate, mouth, tongue, and here this flap-like structure is called epiglottis. Epiglottis is present above glottis. When we eat food, this food will go into the pharynx, and this epiglottis will cover the glottis and food will directly enters into the esophagus. But if we will talk while eating, the epiglottis will not cover the glottis properly and food may enter into the windpipe, which may leads to choking, and choking ultimately leads to death of an individual. So it is advisable not to talk while eating. Children, question can be asked, why it is not advisable to talk while eating? So the answer we have understood now. Next is esophagus. Esophagus is a long muscular tube which is about 25 centimeters long. It passes through neck, thorax and finally opens into stomach. It helps in passage of food from buccal cavity to stomach. This muscular tube-like structure is called esophagus. It starts from buccal cavity and ends into stomach. Now we will proceed with stomach. Stomach is a J-shaped bag, and if we'll talk about the various parts in the stomach, we will discuss these various parts now. This is the structure of stomach. Esophagus enters into the stomach. Esophagus is not exactly enters into the stomach, it just opens into the stomach, and that part is called cardia. The opening of esophagus and the point where esophagus enters into the stomach, that part is guarded by a valve. That valve is called cardiac sphincter. This dome shaped part is called fundus, and this portion is called, center portion is called body, and the last part is called pylorus. So what happens that when food enters into the stomach, the cardiac sphincter it get closed. At the last, pylorus is also guarded by a valve. That valve is called pyloric sphincter. When the food once enter into the stomach, these both sphincter they get closed properly and the process of digestion starts. But sometimes what happens that cardiac sphincter is not has not get closed properly, so which will lead to the backward flow of food into the esophagus. So food will go back into the esophagus. That backward flow is called regurgitation. There is a new term, that is regurgitation, means the backward flow of food into esophagus. So after complete digestion, the food enters into small intestine by pyloric sphincter. When the food gets totally digested, it enters it the pyloric sphincter, it get open, and the food get passed into the duodenum, which is a part of small intestine. So stomach is a J-shaped, highly muscular organ which is like a bag. The opening of esophagus in stomach is guarded by a ring-like structure called cardiac sphincter, which prevent the regurgitation of food. Means regurgitation means backward flow of food. At the posterior end, the stomach opens into small intestine, and that opening is guarded by a ring-like pyloric sphincters. Internal lining of stomach contains numerous glands called gastric glands, which we will discuss later in this chapter. The various parts and function of stomach, as I have discussed earlier, these are cardia, fundus, body, and pylorus. Cardia is for entry of food, fundus is for storage, it is dome-shaped, body for chemical breakdown and mixing, and pylorus is a funnel shape which connects stomach with the duodenum. Next is small intestine. Small intestine is the largest part of alimentary canal, which is about 5 to 6 meters in length. It is narrow and highly coiled part of alimentary canal. Stomach, small intestine is further of three parts: duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. These are various parts of small intestine. The C-shaped part next to stomach is called duodenum, then jejunum, highly coiled part, and the last is ileum. The stomach opens into a small C-shaped narrow duodenum. It is about 25 centimeters in length. In duodenum, the bile duct and pancreatic duct open through a common passage called common bile duct, which we will discuss later in this chapter. The next is jejunum. It is the middle part of small intestine and it is about 2 meters in length. And the last part is ileum, which is about 3 to 3.5 meters in length. The internal lining of jejunum and ileum contains numerous folds called villi. Villi, the function of villi is to increase the surface area for proper absorption. In between the villi are present glandular pits having numerous glands called intestinal glands. Intestinal gland secretes intestinal juices, and the function of small intestine is the complete digestion of food and absorption of digested food into blood. Now look here. These finger-like structures, these are called villi. And at the base of these finger-like structures, villi, are a dark portion. These are called intestinal glands. So suppose this is the lining of small intestine. In between there are numerous folds. These folds are called villi. Now, next is large intestine. The ileum enters into a wider tube called large intestine, which is about 1.5 meters in length. It has three parts: cecum, colon, and rectum. This blind sac-like structure is called cecum. At the base of cecum, there is a worm-like structure. This is called vermiform appendix. It is a vestigial organ which can be removed by surgical methods. This is colon, and the last is rectum. So their function now we will discuss. It is small, almost rounded blind sac. It is about 6 centimeters in length, and from the cecum arises a blind worm-like structure called vermiform appendix, as I have shown you right now. Inflammation of appendix is called appendicitis. The next part is colon. It is the largest part of large intestine. Its function is absorption of large amount of water and preparation and storage of feces. Next is rectum. It is about 12 centimeters long and S-shaped tube that opens outside as anus. It stores the feces temporarily. The last part of alimentary canal is anus. The opening of alimentary canal at the lower end is called anus. It is bounded by anal sphincter and it is meant for passing out feces. Now look here. At the base of rectum, there is a small hole that is called anus. It is guarded by anal sphincter and its function is to pass out feces. So children, this was all about the alimentary canal. These are the parts of a complete alimentary canal. So kindly do all the related question answers, the question answers which are related to the topic properly on book, and do the terms on copy, the reasoning questions on copy properly. Thank you.